that blasters on full.
What's up guys, Gripe here with another review. This time we're going to check out the Star Wars Black Series Kylo Ren figure, and this is the 6-inch Black Series figure. And we'll start off by checking out the packaging as always. And it is typical Star Wars The Force Awakens packaging. You've got the big window up front, got a picture of Kylo Ren down the bottom, and you've got the name of the figure, Kylo Ren, to the left of that. And you can see Kylo Ren and his one accessory, the lightsaber, in the big window. And on this side you have 3, it's the third figure in the wave, and the name of the figure, Kylo Ren. You've got a picture of Kylo Ren and some information on the back. Here's a close-up so you can read it. On this side you have the wraparound window as well as the name of the figure, Kylo Ren. And another window up top, and just some warnings and trademarks on the bottom. So now I'll check out the one accessory that comes with this figure, and it is the famous crossguard lightsaber. And it is a pretty nicely sculpted lightsaber. It's got a lot of good details in there. I do like the paint app on it as well. It gives it a very weathered look and does kind of make it appear to be cobbled together like it's supposed to be. And it does come with the crossguard blade here. I do not really like the fact that they're all connected. It's not that terrible. I just wish it was separate beams. I think it would have looked a little bit cooler. I also don't like the fact that it's a very opaque plastic. I wish it was more translucent. And the crossguards kind of curve up a bit, which you can see. It's okay, but I think they could have done a much better job with it. So now check out the sculpt and paint of the figure itself. And the sculpt, I think, is actually pretty good. It's kind of hard to mess up Kylo Ren. He's a pretty badass character. So just as long as you don't do a terrible job, it'll come out pretty good. The paint, what little is applied fairly well. As you can see on the helmet here, it's got the silver paint on here. I do like the sculpt of the helmet. It's got a nice weathered and kind of battle-worn look to it. The hard plastic in the figure, like these arms here, is sculpted pretty nice. It's got some good texture and ridges there. Same with the skirt, which is a soft rubber almost. And the cloak is a soft plastic, a little bit harder than the skirt. It's got some nice texture in there. Also has some really nice details in the sculpt with the wrinkles and folds. The skirt itself, the skirt and robe I should say, is all one piece as well as the hood. I heard some people talking about it being a separate piece, but it is not. And the one issue I have with it is the tattered edges. I know it's supposed to look tattered, but I feel like it's just going to fall apart over time. There's really nothing holding those threads together. And the seams really aren't the strongest. I'm already starting to pop some of them while I was posing the figure for this video, and that's kind of disappointing. The legs are sculpted pretty well. Again, it's the hard plastic, and I do think they put a lot of good detail on there. The boots are fairly nicely sculpted with some good detail here on the calf area. There is no treads, but there are peg holes on the bottom. And his belt is a soft plastic, and that is loose from the rest of the figure, so you can move that around independently. And again, I really do like the helmet on this. I think they did a great job sculpting and painting it. So now I'll check out the articulation on the figure, and much like most of the recent Black Series, it's fairly disappointing, especially in the upper torso and arm areas. The head itself has almost no articulation. You can't move it back or forward at all, so forget about looking up or down. That's not an option. There's also no tilt on the head, so you can't cock the head left or right. You can rotate it left and right a decent amount, but that's limited by the cloak, and that's about as far as you can get with it. The shoulders are fairly disappointing. They're very stiff. You can get them up that high easily, and then you really have to force it to get it farther. And the right one is a little bit hindered by the cloak. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And they do rotate completely around the socket. The right one is going to be hindered by the cloak. You can move it out of the way to get it all the way around if you want, but it does sit a little askew. You do have full rotation at the elbow, but it has those awful single jointed elbows that most of the Black Series has. You're getting just about 90 degrees with this, but that's it. It does have the swivel and hinge wrists. You can rotate them completely around, and the hinge is to the left and right, not up and down on the wrist, and that's on both hands. It also has a diaphragm joint, which is a little bit limited due to the robe, and you can get them forward about that far and back about that far, but that's about it. And again, the robe kind of hinders that a little. It's not terrible, but it does hinder it a bit. You can also get some side to side, but it's not that much. And you can rotate, but that's about as far as you can rotate before the seams start to pop on the robe, which is kind of annoying. Fortunately, the lower portion of the figure is articulated much better than the upper part. The hips are pretty good, and they are not hindered at all by the skirt due to the split being right on the sides, so you can get those legs out about that far. And it does have a pretty good kick forward. You can get just under 90 degrees with that. And he doesn't really kick back far at all. You're getting maybe 15 degrees out of it, but that's about it. And it does have some pretty good double jointed knees, as most of the Black Series do. You can't quite get it as far back as some of the other figures, but it does go back pretty far. It does have an upper thigh cut, so you can rotate that leg all the way around there. There's no other points of rotation on a leg, but that's fairly typical for the Black Series. It does have some pretty good articulation at the ankle joint. You can really get that foot down pretty far. It doesn't go up quite as high, but it goes up a serviceable amount for sure. And you can rotate the ankles completely around, and it's got a really good rocker pivot on there. So now I'll check out the size and scale of the figure, and he does stand at just over 6 inches. He's fairly tall. He is about 6¼ inches tall. And he does seem to scale pretty well with the rest of the Force Awakens figures, although it's a little hard to tell at this point considering the movie's not really out and we don't have that much material to compare him with. And here he is with an original trilogy Black Series Stormtrooper, so you can see how he fits in with the original trilogy figures. And he is just a hair taller. So overall, I really wanted to like this figure a lot more than I did. I think it looks good. It has some pretty good sculpt and paint on it. I think the articulation, especially in the upper half of the figure, just really sucks. There's no head articulation. The arms are pretty meh. And the accessory is really not that great. The handle of the lightsaber I think came out really good, but the blade just looks really cheap with the opaque plastic they used and the fact that the cross guards and main beam are connected. I also don't like the soft goods that much on this figure. I think the material looks kind of cool, but the tattered edges, while I know it fits the figure, I know they're just going to fall apart. I also think the robe is a bit on the long side, and the seams are already starting to pop from posing it. Alright guys, I hope you liked the review. Subscribe for more.
Set blasters on full.